Hi, I'm Alex from ATM, and if you've clicked on this video, it's either because you're in Camp Alex and you hate Adam Sandler and you can't believe he's made 10 good movies, or you're in Camp Adam.
Pretty.
And you love old sandbags and really want to see if your favourite film has made it onto this list. This is a two-parter as well, so for all the fellow Sandler haters, there will be a 10 worst Adam Sandler movies coming out very soon, so keep an eye out for that. Ha! But back to this video, I am only considering movies that include Sandler in a credited acting role on IMDb. So that means no Juice Bigelow films or dirty work.
No.
I won't be counting any movies where Sandler appears as himself either, so that gets rid of I Am Chris Farley and Top 5. And it's also a no for any movies that Sandler worked on purely in a production role. He's got to be in front of the camera. But that's enough rules for one day, so let's prove that Sandler actually has made some good stuff. Spoilers ahead. Number 10, Big Daddy. Kicking off at number 10, it's Big Daddy. This 1999 movie has all the hallmarks of an Adam Sandler movie. A hilarious man-child who hates responsibility, a suddenly taxing situation, and a heartwarming Adam Sandler rising to the occasion. It follows Sonny, a law graduate who absolutely refuses to be an adult. He's got a law degree but decides that instead working very, very part-time in a toll booth is a better use of his time. And it must be a pretty well-paying toll booth if him and his roommate split the rent 50-50, because that flat is banging. Sonny's entire life is turned upside down when his girlfriend dumps him for someone who actually has their lives together. Shocking. To win back the girl, Sonny decides to essentially adopt his flatmate's son, who, by the way, is played by the Sprouse twins when they were about 6, so this movie is gonna make you feel really old. It's not exactly groundbreaking stuff, but for one of Sandler's earlier movies, this one is actually pretty decent. It's legitimately funny, and watching Sonny finally find his true calling in life is genuinely pretty endearing. And unlike a fair few of Sandler's other movies, you're all hoping it works out for the main character. It's surprisingly heartfelt, pretty funny, and includes a very, very cute kid. Well, kids. What more could you want? Number 9, Little Nicky. In at number 9, it's the fairly unique Little Nicky. While initially this film was an enormous flop both commercially and critically, like any fine cheese, it has aged magnificently well and is now a firm cult classic. Directed by Stephen Brill, Little Nicky revolves around Nicky, the favourite son of Satan, who is thinking about retirement. The Lord of Darkness has to pick an heir from his 3 children: Adrian, the most devious, Cassius, the cruelest, and Nicky, his favourite. But at the last moment, he decides not to give up his power, causing 2 of his kids to have a full-on meltdown. Adrian and Cassius decide to take over Earth and freeze the entrance to Hell so that no more souls can enter. Nicky is then sent to Earth by his father to capture his brothers in a magical flask. I mean, for a plot, it's out there. This movie is purely iconic. It's utterly bananas, and you know what? I love it! From the cameo right at the end to Sandler's utterly crazy accent decision, I love this mental movie. And so should you. Number 8, 50 First Dates. In at number 8, it's 50 First Dates. That's enough crappy half rhymes for now though, because this is the first Adam Sandler movie that I actually watched and actively enjoyed. Yes, it's a rom-com, which, let's be honest, can be the world's most predictable genre, but this movie really does do something a little bit different. For one thing, it doesn't take place in New York, so that really sets it apart. 50 First Dates follows Henry Roth, who falls in love with Lucy, played by Drew Barrymore. Unfortunately for the pair, Lucy suffers from extreme short-term memory loss as a result of a horrific car crash a year earlier. Lucy's memory is so bad that she wakes up every single day thinking that it's the 13th of October 2002. To save her from any pain or distress, her family play along, and every day is reset as Lucy forgets what happened the day before. But for their relationship to work, Henry has to make Lucy fall in love with him every single day. And that's a pretty big challenge. While this premise might sound corny as hell, this movie is brilliant. Its original idea means that you get all of that rom-com fuzziness, but without the tired cliches that can really drag the genre down. The setting of Hawaii is stunning, but it's really Sandler and Barrymore who make this movie. You might not expect it, but their chemistry is palpable, and between them, their comedic timing is utterly perfect. Number 7, The Waterboy. At lucky number 7, we're heading to some of Sandler's most comfortable ground: sports-based comedies. The Waterboy follows Bobby, who is fired from his job as a waterboy for the University of Louisiana Cougars after the team excessively bullies him. Bobby then volunteers as a waterboy for another team, the South Central Louisiana State University Mud Dogs, and soon the downtrodden Bobby begins to rise like a phoenix from the ashes of his crappy life. I am a total sucker for the Meek Becoming Victorious movie, and this one was an absolute killer. Sandler's accent again can be entirely grating, but you can overlook this because you're so desperate for Bobby to finally succeed. This movie got panned by critics, and you know what? They're wrong. It's heartwarming, it's triumphant, it's great. Number 6, Billy Madison. At number 6, it's the movie that half lent its name to Sandler's production company. It's obviously the iconic Billy Madison. I can't believe there is anyone who hasn't seen this, but just in case there are, Billy Madison is all about the entitled nightmare heir to a Fortune 500 hotel chain, think Hilton but without the libel suit, who has to resit 12 grades of school to earn the right to manage the company. Billy is forced to pass a grade every single fortnight and soon falls for his 3rd grade teacher who absolutely refuses to take any of his nonsense. Soon, Billy learns that there's way more to life than just the money and the booze that he's used to, which strangely isn't a subject that he learns about specifically at school. This film is so endearing, and for some reason, watching a grown-ass adult having to do cursive really makes you thankful you've managed to leave education for good. Number 5, Funny People. At the midway point is the 2009 box office flop, Funny People. In fact, it was Sandler's highest rated movie by noted movie critic Roger Ebert, and he hated Sandler. Funny People is all about what you'd expect, people who are funny. George Simmons, played by Sandler, is a middle-aged movie star who's depressed at the state of his life and work. To top it all off, he's diagnosed with a rare form of leukemia, which prompts him to return to the stand-up scene where he first started out.
What do you got there?
This is medicine, Ira. I'm sick.
One of those girls have chlamydia. I thought she smelled funny. Is that what it is?
There he meets Ira Wright, played by Seth Rogen, who is desperately trying to make it in the comedy arena. The two meet, and the movie follows how their lives impact each other. Directed by Judd Apatow, who interestingly was Sandler's former roommate, Funny People is a really poignant movie. Sandler's Simmons is endlessly endearing, and there seems to be a real truth to his performance, which demonstrates just how talented a performer Sandler really is. Number 4, The Wedding Singer. In at number 4, it's the 1998 classic rom-com The Wedding Singer. Sandler stars as Robbie Hart, a wedding singer who dreams of becoming a rock star. Unfortunately, Robbie is left at the altar by his fiancée Linda, but he befriends a waitress, Julia, played by Drew Barrymore, who helps him through this pretty rocky patch in his life. Annoyingly though, Julia is also about to be married herself. As we've already seen earlier on in this list, Sandler and Barrymore have some serious chemistry, and The Wedding Singer is no different. Their relationship makes this movie utterly brilliant. And although the 80s setting could have destroyed this movie, for some reason it just really works. And that's not something you'd often say about the 80s. The tackiness of the decade helps to heighten both the comedy and the parody within this movie, and somehow avoid any sappiness that would be so easy to fall into. It's really just a gem of a movie. Number 3, Punch Drunk Love. In at the bronze, it's Punch Drunk Love. This one only had a limited release in the US and didn't fully make back its budget, but it is an absolute stunner of a movie. Sandler stars as Barry, a lonely man emotionally abused and ridiculed by his 7 sisters. It's a lot of sisters. But soon his life changes for the better when he meets Lena Leonard, one of his sister's colleagues. Around the same time, he inexplicably decides to call a sex line and ends up being extorted for money and stalked by 4 henchmen, which makes his new relationship a little bit tricky. This movie is incredible, and Sandler is an absolute delight to watch. It's still a comedy, but it's smarter and so much darker than Sandler's typical caricature man-child comedies of the late noughties. Looking at you, grown-ups too. It's bleak, often really cold, and yet still has an element of heart woven through. Plus, it's hilarious. It's brilliant. Number 2, Reign Over Me. A little bit of sadness now at number 2 with Reign Over Me. While you're always going to associate Sandler with comedies, this movie really proves that the guy has got some serious acting chops as well. Reign Over Me follows the life of Charlie Feynman, who tragically lost his entire family in 9/11. 5 years later, he is withdrawn from society and refuses to discuss the horrific tragedy that has befallen him. Just by chance, he bumps into his old college roommate, Alan Johnson, played by Don Cheadle, who desperately tries to help his friend despite the ill effects it's having on his own family. Reign Over Me is a stunning film. It approaches loss and grief in a beautifully touching way. Sandler is almost unrecognisable in this performance and manages to shine even when he's up against the majesty of Don Cheadle. It's a poignant, beautiful movie and definitely one you should watch if you haven't already. And finally, in at number 1, top of the pops, it could only be one Adam Sandler movie, Happy Gilmore. Arguably the best sports comedy of all time, Happy Gilmore is an absolute classic movie. Sandler stars as Happy Gilmore, a wannabe ice hockey player who has a powerful slap shot, but not much else. Happy was raised by his grandma, who hasn't paid her taxes in years, which is seriously inadvisable. As such, owes the IRS $270,000. Happy has 90 days to raise the cash, or his grandma's home will be auctioned off and she will spend the rest of her days in a retirement home. Luckily, it's around this point that Happy realises he might be bad at hockey, but he's really great at another sport: golf. This movie is hilarious and is Sandler at his absolute best. It's laugh out loud funny, often totally ridiculous, but you know what? It totally works. And that's why I've chosen Happy Gilmore to be the best Adam Sandler film of all time.
I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing!
So that was my list of the 10 best Adam Sandler movies, but what do you think? Which gems have I missed out, and are there any on here that you seriously disagree with? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I love reading them all. Keep your eyes peeled for the 10 worst Adam Sandler movies. It's coming very soon. Like and subscribe to All Time Movies, and we will see you next time.
Are you kidding me?
Yeesh, stop yelling like a little kid already. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 worst Adam Sandler movies.
All right, America, have your laugh. I'm an idiot.
Yes, Adam Sandler has made a few good movies, but in recent years, we've come to anticipate bad films from this comedian. But rarely do we expect his career to outdo its own mediocrity. Somehow, it doesn't matter who's writing, producing, or directing. Sandler's got the magic touch that turns it all sour.
We're in gay love, Captain. Can't you deal with that?
Whether it's as an actor or as a marketing vehicle, we've endured enough of him to list his worst films so you don't have to.
Well, feel the other one. Those are my balls. I'm not kidding you. They went way up.
Getting me turned on.
Number 10. I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
Your sisters, give each other a kiss and make up. You're the only sisters you got. Use your tongues.
Our society tries to purport itself as being progressive and politically correct. But apparently, Adam Sandler and Kevin James did not get that memo, because homophobia still serves as a recurring punchline in this film.
You mean like faggots?
No, I mean, yeah, but no, not us, obviously. Or, it's just on paper, really.
Sure, they're trying to be ironic about it, but if this is a satirical lesson on how not to discriminate, it's condescending at best.
I love you, but I'm not in love with you, if that makes any sense.
The film is about a couple of prejudiced firefighters who learn lessons of tolerance by pretending to be gay.
Everything would have been fine if you just let me and Larry make out like we were gonna.
And Adam Sandler is the last man you want to be patronized by.
Yeah, that's the way it works with us firemen, sir. You throw one of us in a fire, we all go rushing in.
Oh, yeah.
Number 9. Click.
I'm not out drinking or gambling or hitting on chicks. I'm working my ass off so my family can have a better life than I ever dreamed of having when I was a kid.
It's an endearing movie about learning to value your life and the time that you're given. Told through the fantasy of one man who's apparently able to control everything around him with a handheld device.
You wanted a universal remote control that remote controls your universe.
Yeah, but what controls my dance skills?
We got the phone. You gotta have that phone.
What could possibly ruin this one? Well, fart jokes, sex jokes, and crotch kicks to start.
Is this a stick-up, or are you just happy?
But it's also painfully sappy, which doesn't mesh well with the toilet humor.
I'm going to the bathroom to slip my wrists.
I'll be here.
Actually, there's a pattern in Sandler comedies that's slightly worse than his acting immature and irresponsible, and it's treating the audience as if they are. Number 8. Just go with it.
You think I can tell the truth? Well, let me practice. You be her right now.
Oh, good. Okay, hold on.
This is a diluted remake, based on a movie that was based on a play that's reduced to what gets spit out of Hollywood's Sandler grinder.
Something that makes you sad.
He plays a single man pretending to be going through a divorce in order to sustain a lie with his latest love interest.
No. I'm saying that did not. You misread what I said.
But the characters are just that, characters.
If it's an acting job, we should get paid.
Yeah, you're gonna get paid in experience.
I want to actually get paid.
They're barely developed and don't really say or do anything particularly funny or interesting. They're just there. It gets pretty boring pretty quickly and falls flat, despite the A-list stars and pretty ladies.
It's like it never happened.
Number 7. Little Nicky. You couldn't ask for a more star-studded cast, but Adam Sandler drags them all to hell with this movie.
Maybe it was because of this cake I ate earlier.
The only thing worse than Sandler's consistent portrayals of characters with what we'll politely refer to as childlike innocence is seeing him actually portraying a child.
Why are we laughing?
I don't know, but I was enjoying it.
But the celebrity cameos are just one gimmick of many in this convoluted film about Satan's angsty son, his family drama, and the threat to our Earth realm.
Okay, mercy, you win, I give, game over.
Number 6. Bedtime Stories.
The end. Let's hope it works. Very well written, brilliantly constructed. I loved it.
This time, Adam Sandler is subjecting children to his travesties with a story about tall tales coming true.
That sounds good for the environment.
And frankly, that kind of makes sense, since even his good movies have pretty much all been juvenile.
That's right, I forgot you were 6.
We're encouraged to believe that this family movie, Sandler's first family-friendly flick actually, will warm our hearts with its childlike wonder and the power of imagination. But there are too many lowbrow Sandler-isms to engage us emotionally.
No!
Like this CGI guinea pig, for example, that punctuates much more of the dialogue than necessary.
Shut up, Bugsy! Yeah, I've got opposable thumbs. How do you feel about that?
Number 5. Grown-ups.
Grow up, will you?
Oh, look at him now.
Sandler comes close to admitting he's acting immature by starring in this film about middle-aged dudes who used to play high school basketball together that relive their golden years for one weekend.
When does the lying stop?
It's predictable and lazy, using SNL alumni to spout stale, fat, and old gags.
Since we're getting things off our chest here, I got a confession to make. I'm wearing a tube.
No shit.
A few decades too late to their own party, this film depends on B-list celebrities to riff off one another in place of an actual story.
What's the problem?
Oh, yeah. Arrow foot.
Oh, come here.
Critics panned it heavily, but viewers didn't, as it was a box office success that prompted a sequel, which, spoiler alert, you'll see soon.
What does that mean?
Number 4. You Don't Mess with the Zohan.
Come on, we got hosed here.
Easily his most shameless film, Sandler and his Happy Madison production house leave no raunchy, vulgar, desperate stone unturned when it comes to laughs. We're well aware by now that toilet humor is his bread and butter. And in this one, it's lathered on as thick as hair gel.
Maybe it needs some more oxygen. It looks like it's being strangled.
Zohan is trying to be a counter-terrorism satire about an Israeli Mossad agent with hairdressing dreams. But to be competent in this context, it needs to be funny.
No. I fix for you.
This film is not, though we'd hazard a guess that Sandler fans were satisfied.
Was that your feet? Yes, it's the feet. The feet uppercut. Here comes the double foot. This is good. Smell it, smell it, smell it. Now take it. That's for you.
Number 3. That's My Boy.
What? I thought they were taking it out automatically.
Incest, stat rape, and masturbation jokes are just some of the classy ways this film hopes to produce its chuckles.
Are you back? What have you done to me? What have you done to me?
This one isn't just bad because it's unfunny and crude. It's bad because it's offensively unfunny and crude.
You know that hurts me.
However, we'll award originality points to Sandler's unlikable, irresponsible father protagonist.
I get it. You don't like me. I exploded.
But it's R-rated for good reason. They go for broke with the white trash stereotypes, profanity, and substance abuse. And broke is exactly where it got them.
Sucks. Broke. Who'd have thought this would happen to us?
Number 2. Grown Ups 2.
New problem begins.
With most sequels, an attempt is made to improve and expand on the content of the original film.
That way we can make money off them.
This one, about Sandler's character moving to his hometown for nostalgia's sake, is more of the same juvenile giggles that are to be expected from a film with an ironic title like this. There is some consolation to be found in new characters and cameos, making it more of an ensemble comedy.
What? Put your hands in the air. And wave them like you just don't care. Say ho! Oh! Say ho! Oh!
But the story is still missing, and that's kind of important.
I mean, it makes no sense. Only in like a Hollywood movie or something.
Before we reveal our top pick, here are some honorable, or in this case, dishonorable mentions.
I'm only gonna say this one more time, sir. Calm down.
I'm calm!
Don't talk to my dad like that, butthole. Language.
She can say butthole if she wants to.
Butthole, butthole.
Not you.
Man, the guy's talking about incest. It's not funny. The guy needs help. I could get last with that. Guy probably farts on stage, too.
The reason I bring this up to you is because I was the worst offender of all.
Number 1, Jack and Jill.
Like someone was barbecuing them over a smoke.
Things we never needed to see include Adam Sandler in drag. But, alas, Hollywood disagreed.
Please, tell me you don't feel this.
I didn't feel it. Maybe if you did it harder.
Sandler throws on a dress to be as annoying as possible. Beside the co-star, he also plays. But he succeeds mostly at annoying his audience.
Idiots like you really make me mad!
Character depth aside, the highlights of Jack and Jill include chimichanga diarrhea, Hispanic stereotypes, fart jokes, and overuse of product placement.
You have a phone in your hand. You are told before the play starts not to have it ring. Shut all cell phones off. This is what the man said.
After watching the movie widely considered one of the worst ever, we're left with nothing but burning questions about this production. Like, what is Al Pacino doing here?
I'm doing research. I don't want to be recognized, okay?
Do you agree with our list? Which Adam Sandler movie did you simply not enjoy? For more top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
No. You got more.
Yeah.